There have been a few games over the years that's been able to bounce back from bad publicity. Games like Cyberpunk, No Man's Sky, or even Destiny. These games launched with major issues that failed to deliver what fans really wanted. Fast forward to 2026, and we're seeing one of the strangest game releases that I've ever seen. Highguard is a new game. I don't really know what to call it. It has elements of Apex Legends, Rainbow Six Siege, even My Little Pony, but the question isn't how good is the game, the question is, can Highguard be saved? It's been a little bit since I've uploaded a video, but I'm back for my first video of 2026 where we're going to be talking about Highguard, a new free-to-play shooter that had no advertising, no alpha or beta testing, and launched with a very negative perception of the game. Just to recap the last few months, this game was announced back at the Game Awards and was hyped up by the man himself, Jeff Keighley. But when it was announced, it quickly became very controversial. It was the last showcase at the Game Awards and was pitched as a new game made by ex-Titanfall and Apex Legends developers. It sounded really promising, I know my eyebrows were raised for it, but when the trailer started, people quickly started calling this Concord 2. Or is it Concord 3? Maybe 4? I don't know, we've had a lot of bad games since then, but since then, we have all been waiting around to see if Highguard could actually surprise us as gamers, or just add more fuel to the fire. Since release, I've put a little over 20 hours into the game, which is probably more than most of you watching this video, and I'm not saying that just to make my opinion sound better, it's just the truth. If you stopped playing this game after an hour, I don't blame you at all. At launch, the game had no variety and only offered one game mode. So if you didn't like it, then you really didn't like Highguard. In this video, I want to share my experiences with Highguard over the last 2 weeks and cover some of the updates and changes that have happened to really answer the question, can Highguard be saved? And I just want to give my overall opinion of Highguard right now. I would not recommend playing this game. I think there are a lot better games that you can play right now, especially in the free-to-play space, and games like Marathon that'll be coming out that are going to give you a better PvP experience. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more gaming-related content. I played Highguard on the day of release, and my first impressions were very negative. And to be honest, if I wasn't making a video on it, I probably would have stopped playing after an hour. The game starts with an unskippable tutorial that took way too long. It was like 15 to 20 minutes. That was just basic shooter tutorials. And they had an advanced tutorial, which was just a video in like 720p. The worst thing about the tutorials as a whole is that the information from them doesn't really transfer into the game. For example, the weapon rarities that were talked about in the tutorial were pretty basic. There's white, blue, purple, and gold. But when you're playing the game, you never see a weapon that's higher than blue, because you actually can't get the purple and gold guns unless your game reaches the second or third round. And this wasn't explained at all. And most of my games for the first 2 to 3 hours never went past the first round. We were either steamrolling the enemy team, or we were the ones getting steamrolled. I never got to see a purple gun until like hour 3 or 4. So this whole time, I thought I was missing something, and it turns out that the pacing of the game is just bad. And speaking of the pacing of the game, I think this would be a good time to talk about the structure of the matches. The whole premise of the game is for you to gather loot and try and destroy the enemy base before yours is destroyed. And for a PvP game, the time it actually takes for you to find another person to shoot at is way too long, especially when the game only offered 3v3 at launch. So here's how a normal match of Highguard goes. When you start the match, you'll have a hero selection phase and a base selection phase that lasts about a minute. Then you're going to load into the base and have another 1-minute timer to reinforce a couple walls. Once that's over, you're then going to have a 2-minute looting phase where you can go out to this gigantic map and loot better weapons and armor. Then after that, you have a 1-minute phase where the shield breaker is forming. And the shield breaker is a sword that allows you to break the shield of your enemy base and initiate the raid. Then there's another 2-minute phase where your teams fight over the shield breaker and try and deliver it to an enemy base. And if no one delivers the shield breaker, you have another 90-second window where there's no revives and you try and actually deliver the shield breaker to the base. After all this is done, regardless of the outcome, you will either start the attack or defend phase of your base. In theory, this might have been fun, but in reality, it's a big time-wasting simulator. On average, it took me 5 to 7 minutes to actually see another person to shoot at. Let me repeat myself. From the start of the game to fighting another person, it took 5 to 7 minutes. What the actual fuck were they thinking? And I almost forgot the worst part about this entire experience. If you're lucky enough to actually find a person, let's say you get into a gun battle and you lose, you have a 20-second respawn timer. 20 seconds of you sitting there and watching your team now become a 2v3 situation. And the best part about all of this, you cannot respawn on your team. You have to respawn at your base and then get on your little horsey and travel all the way back to where the action is. So every time you die, you now have a 30 to 60 second waiting period to get back into the action. The developers have announced some tuning to the phase timers, and the addition of 5v5 did help this issue a little bit, but for most people that have played this game or are going to play this game, they are not going to wait around to see if this game improves or wait around 5 to 7 minutes to even shoot another person in a PvP game. First impressions are everything for gamers. There are so many good games that they could play right now, most of the player base is not going to wait around to see if this game gets better. And we already know that because most of the player base is completely gone, which is a good time to talk about the Steam chart numbers. And they're not looking good. The game launched with a little under 100,000 players, and just 2 weeks later, it's struggling to maintain 5,000 concurrent players. Now I know, Spartan, the Steam charts are useless and they don't show the whole picture. Just stop it. Let me get you a new batch of copium. Let me go into the back and get you a new batch of copium. Guys, this data absolutely shows how the game is being received, and people just don't like it. But I have to give the developers some credit. They're trying to improve the game. I mean, they kind of have to, but I'm going to give them the credit anyway. Since release, they have listened to the community and have added 5v5 within a week. They are adjusting phase timers to make the game a little bit more fast-paced. They're trying to balance the weapons so that way there's not a defined meta. They're adding a ranked mode and introducing new characters. So they are listening to feedback and trying to improve the game, but unfortunately, I think it's too late. I believe that if this game launched right now as a beta or an alpha, the game actually would have a chance. But the ballsy move to release the game with no beta, no marketing, no opportunity to pivot, I think has been a detriment to the game. Overall, I would say that Highguard is like a 4 out of 10. It's not the worst game I've ever played. It's definitely not the best. And the only thing making this game even worth a try is the fact that it's free to play. And there's probably a bunch of small little things that I could add into the game. Like, I don't really like mining for materials, or I don't really like the axe throwing animation. I mean, oh my god, that's very jarring. But I feel like the best way that I can end this video is to just share a conversation that me and my buddies had after playing Highguard the first time after like 2 or 3 hours. Yeah, like, I mean, I'll be honest, guys. I would probably play this more for the sole purpose of, like, wanting to do a more informed review and trying to experience those, like, moments. But for, like, the average consumer, right, for someone who didn't plan on making a video, I think 2 hours would have been good enough for me to be like, all right, boys, pack it up.
Yeah, I mean, with what they offered and what we like, without actually going to the farther rounds, like actually having a challenge to get farther rounds and to have gold tier stuff and, like, you know, experience those things before we basically experienced all the maps in the whole game except for each character. That's it.
So just when you're talking about your review, I get what you're saying, right? It feels wrong because you didn't put time into it. You played the whole game.
Yeah,
You played the whole game.
That's true.
An hour in.
If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more gaming related content. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!